Three, two, one. Let's go. We are back, everyone.
Showtime again.
Yes, we are back once again with a new podcast at you motherfuckers.
It's crazy. It's time to get crazy up in here.
Yeah. So I figured this time around, I don't know what we're all going to get into. We're just probably going to do random stuff. But I did want to start off by talking about some of the wrestlers that have passed away this year in 2023.
Hell yeah. Sounds cool.
Yeah, because we have, there's quite a few that actually passed. We have the Iron Sheik that passed away.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, he was one of a kind, man.
Oh yeah, dude.
We have Lanny Poffel, who also passed away.
The genius.
We got Droz.
Oh yeah.
Which he's best known for, Beyond the Mat.
And it was going to come out as puke.
Right.
Originally they wanted him to call him. It was just simply puke.
Right. I'm glad that didn't.
Me too, dude.
And then the last one we'll talk about is superstar Billy Graham.
The superstar, baby.
Now there is a few others that passed away as well. I think one of the Briscoe brothers also passed.
Jay Briscoe.
Yeah, we might get into him. And that one, what was he, a manager that I was telling you about? Was he part of Ric Flair's? Who was I telling you about earlier that passed away?
You were saying one of the Bushwhackers.
Well, right.
Yeah, that's sad.
Right. Let me type that in because I almost forgotten about that.
Yeah.
And I think there was a manager that passed away. I want to say that was with Ric Flair. I could be wrong about this.
Well, the only manager he would have had was J.J. Dillon.
Okay. Yeah, I'm probably off on that. Let's see. Yeah, Bushwhacker Butch Miller. Yeah. I guess he passed away, quite a few months ago.
Yeah.
From what it's saying here. But yeah, who do you want to start off with talking about?
Well, how about we just start off with Bushwhacker Butch, because we just mentioned him, but
Yeah, it says Bushwhacker Butch Miller's. Let's see, he passed away, I guess, in March.
Yeah, he had to be pretty damn old. Cause I know he was. I remember growing up watching the Bushwhackers, dude. It was funny. They were never WWF Tag Team Champions, but they were a tag team like no other. Remember they used to come out to the ring flapping their arms as they were coming out?
No, actually he died from what I'm reading here, it says he died in the hospital in Los Angeles, California on April 2nd, 2023. So he didn't pass away in March, it says April. And it says he was at the age of 78.
Wow.
Yeah, he's up there. He was born in 1944. Dang.
So that means when we were watching him in the 90s, damn, he was up there in age already.
Right.
But I remember me and my cousin, dude, back when we were kids, our favorite tag team was the Bushwhackers. Me and my cousin would always come walking out of our room, room or something, doing the just fucking walking out like the fucking Bushwhackers, and they were a funny ass team, dude.
Yeah, they were cool. I'm surprised. I don't think those guys ever got any kind of DVD of anything.
Yeah.
No match compilation, no documentary. You would think that, and that's odd about wrestlers. Certain wrestlers just never, that are well known, like Goldust, never got a DVD. And I'm just thinking, why? What the hell is that all about?
I mean, if anybody should deserve one, it should be him, because damn, Dustin Rhodes and like the Bushwhackers, you know, they've had
Right.
long story careers.
Right.
Like Bushwhackers didn't just wrestle in the WWF. They, you know, they wrestled in when they wrestled in NWA as the Sheep Herders.
Right.
They were a violent tag team, dude. I remember buying a book of like back in the '80s, showing all these wrestlers in the '80s, and every fucking one was like showing color, and like guys like Dick Murdoch, Dusty Rhodes,
Right.
like everyone just showed them just busted wide open, bleeding profusely. It's like, damn, that was back in the day when everybody bled.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
And
They were on the hardcore days.
Yeah.
Oh, the person I was talking about was Jerry Jarrett.
Jeff Jarrett's dead.
Yeah. He also passed away.
Yeah. He had been super old too. Remember, he ran like USWA and shit like that.
Right.
That's tough.
He died back in February, it says, of this year. So he died pretty early. But yeah, you were saying about Bushwhacker Butch.
Yeah, his days as the Sheep Herders, man, they were a violent tag back in the day.
Yeah, good time. I liked when they came out and they were doing their arms up and down.
Yeah.
I remembered all that back in the early the early 90s or late 80s.
Oh, yeah, it was definitely, like I said, me and my cousin, we were kids back then, and we always used to walk around the house like fucking bushwhackers. Like, me and him were like, yeah!
Hell yeah.
My cousin, he was a diehard wrestling fan too, and you know, that was cool. We were like, hey, if there's any wrestlers that would be us, we'd definitely be in the Bushwhackers. We've been wacky like that. Yeah.
And there's another wrestler. Okay, yeah, I just found him. I don't really know much about him, but his name is Adrian Street. Do you know anything about that guy?
He was a wrestler from like back in the 80s.
Yeah, he says he was born in 1940, so yeah, he says if he was a wrestler from the 70s and 80s.
I think he went by the wrestler, if I'm not mistaken, he went by the wrestling name, I think it was Exotic Adrian.
Could be. I don't know much. I don't really know nothing about him.
Yeah, I know a little bit, but I mean, like I said, that was way back in like 80s style. Like, I think he was more like, worked all the like not so big companies. Like I remember seeing him in like independent companies, but never like being big. I think the last time I ever saw him wrestle was in Global Wrestling Federation,
gotcha.
GWF, back in the early 90s.
Now, do you know anything about he looks like an Indian, his name is Charlie Norris.
Charlie Norris passed away?
Yeah.
I remember him. I remember back in,
It says he was an American professional wrestler.
Yeah, he worked in WCW back in the early 90s.
Yeah, it says best known for his work in WCW.
Yeah. But, I don't
remember this guy. That's weird at all.
Well, because you weren't in the wrestling like I was in the 90s.
Right. I mean, I like wrestling, but I wasn't like deep into it like you were.
Yeah. And I watched every damn weekend of WWF, WCW, and I remember Charlie Northman. He was just a brief kind of like lower, like mid-card guy.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say, was he a jobber or mid-card?
Oh, I mean, he wasn't a jobber. He was one of them deals that, like, he could beat lower tier bad guys, but like he wasn't able to beat like any of the main star bad guys.
Okay, gotcha. Now, do you know of a wrestler named Mantar?
Oh hell yeah, I remember fucking Mantar.
Mike Mantar. Okay. He looks a little familiar, big guy. He also he
yeah,
passed away in July.
back in the early '90s,
Yeah, it
mid
says he made his
'90s.
debut on Superstars in
Yep.
'95 WWF.
They tried to play him off as like this half man, half fucking like cow guy. Like came out, he just doing
Right.
the ooh.
Yeah, unfortunately, he passed away.
Yeah, he had that gimmick, and then they brought him in at one point to be like a Goldust like bodyguard or something, and he got his ass whooped by Ultimate Warrior, and that was the last time you ever saw him.
Damn.
Until like I think years later, they brought him back for like a gimmick battle royal, I think. But
yeah, he was. Said he passed away at the age of 55.
damn, so he's gone too now.
And so is Jay Briscoe.
Yeah, one half of the Briscoe brothers, like they were up in, probably one of the best independent like tag teams out there. Like,
Right. I believe I got one of their shoot interviews on DVD.
yeah, I never watched a lot of their matches, but matches that I did watch of them,
Right.
like they were fucking hardcore.
Oh, right on.
You
I'll
know,
have to
so
check. I don't recall really watching many of their matches. I think like one or two, but I'll have to, check some more out.
yeah, I mean, I've seen some of their matches. They were pretty damn good. They could have been a main tag team like on WWE or That's what they originally were going to finally get their shot in AEW, but then fucking like I said, Dave Briscoe passed away in that car accident.
Right. Yeah. Weren't they? Didn't they just get into AEW for a little bit?
Yeah. Everybody was talking about building up like this big dream match in AEW. It was like them and FTR. I don't know if the match happened. Like I said, I don't follow, but I know that's what last I ever heard, that they were going in AEW to fight FTR. And I was like thinking, man, that's going to be a badass match, And then the next thing I heard is like, oh yeah, Jay Briscoe passed away in a car wreck. I was like, damn.
That sucks, man. Not cool. But then we also got Lanny Poffo.
Oh, the legendary, the Genius.
Yes. Macho Man's brother. He passed away earlier this year.
I know
he had heart failure.
Yeah. I know he was Macho Man's brother, but I'll always remember him from back in the days as the damn Genius.
Right.
He was a goofy.
Yeah, what did you think of his wrestling?
Honestly, I remember him he's just back in the day. He's just a scrawny guy that would come out there and just basically get his ass whooped. But I remember him before he became the Genius. He actually worked as Lanny Poffo and as like a jobber wrestler before coming up like repackaged as the Genius.
Right. Alright. He was in his late 60s.
Yeah.
Ain't that something, man? And then we got superstar Billy Graham, the one and only. Yeah.
One of the legends, baby.
Yeah, he had good promos.
Oh yeah.
And he had a great build. I know he used to work out, train with Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the early 70s.
Yeah.
Earlier, mid 70s, something like that.
I remember, I forgot who it was, but somebody was saying that the bad thing about superstar Billy Graham, like that gimmick that he was putting off back then is colorful and flashy, and the build and that character. He's like, he was 20. He said he was 20 years before his prime.
I know, people took his gimmick and ran with it.
Yeah.
Like Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And what's his name? Jesse Ventura.
Bobby Ventura.
Right.
But I remember when back in the late 80s, fucking Billy Graham, they were going to bring him back for a run. You clearly see like he was kind of old and but he still had, a good physique about him. I was like,
yeah. I mean, he was weight training for quite. As a matter of fact, from what I'm reading here, he began intensively training in the late '60s with like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Frank Columbu. That's cool.
Yeah.
So he knew those guys when they were young, and he was young too back then. So yeah, no wonder why he got a fantastic, muscle tone back in the day.
He worked for it, man. A lot of those guys worked for that. I mean, I'm sure, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm sure he wasn't born with that fucking physique he had.
No, he had to work at it for many years. It's not easy to get a build like that. You're talking, it takes years. If you want, I mean, it's not. It depends on how hard you work too. I mean, you could build muscle within a year or two, but to like really pack on some solid muscle, like on the level of Arnold, I think you're looking about at least 3-4 years of, intense workouts.
I remember seeing him in the fucking Terminator when, you see how big he was in the Terminator, and you're thinking, dude, he's a big dude. And then, like, if you go look back at something, forgot when it was, like a bodybuilding contest deal where they had him come out. I mean, he was fucking ripped.
Oh, yeah, you got to be in the bodybuilding world.
Yeah.
But yeah, at some point, superstar Billy Graham, he became like a karate guy. I think that was in the 80s.
I don't know.
He says.
I really just remember him back in the 80s when he decided to come back for one more run, and he basically got injured by the one-man gang and Butch Reed, so that they fucked up his hip, and he had to basically took on like a manager role with Don Morocco, and eventually got let go from that position. I was like, what's the fucking point of bringing him back as a wrestler? Like, he only came back for like a month, and then like their manager Slick was going around kind of saying like about like that they were going to be targeting like Billy Graham's hip because he had like hip replacement or something, and they're like, we know your weak spot, and like every time they had a chance to, they went after that fucking hip, and finally at one point they held him down, and fucking like one man gang kept fucking splashing his hip like over and over, and they saying like, oh, they broke his hip.
He had a second return in the WWF in the early 80s.
Yeah.
He had a bald head and a mustache and supporting black karate pants. Yeah, that's when he had that martial arts gimmick going on. Which is pretty cool. So he was off and on with the WWE.
But you put him back in the 80s, so man, or 70s or whatever it is, because I forget. He was a bad motherfucker.
Yeah. And I know he's had health issues over the years.
Yeah, I remember he came out and was they did a damn documentary on him at one point. He was saying about
something about his kidneys, I think.
That and he had a problem with like his ankle, where they showed his ankle was like swollen up 5 times the size of normalcy.
Oh yeah, it says he received a liver transplant. That's what it was in 2002 from a 26-year-old female donor who had died in a car crash. That's what saved him back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's been through a lot, man. I mean, these wrestlers go through a lot. They're in and out of hospitals.
Yeah, the fact that there were some smart wrestlers out there like Mick Foley and them who were like, they don't. You want to get in that business, you want to do that for the rest of your life. You want to get in.
Well, I don't know. I don't know how smart Mick Foley was. I mean, he's been in wrestling from the 80s on up, and he went through hell with all the ECW, WCW, those death matches that he had. I mean,
But
and
he-
plus what the Undertaker did, throwing him off the fucking top cage and shit.
Yeah, dude, you could not pay me enough money in the world to take a fall like Mick
Yeah.
Foley did to that
Yeah.
fucking cage.
Because you definitely risked your life big time on that.
Yeah,
You know,
But-
it was a hell of an event, but
but he
I'm
even
sure he got-
said that.
I'm sure he got paid well for it, though.
But he even said that, like in the Beyond the Mat interview, like he wanted to like let him and they were even talking about like Owen Hart, like we're trying to get in this business, trying to save as much money as they could, being cheapskates on the road to like kind of save more money up so they could retire early and go home and spend time with their kids.
Right. Right. Yeah, wrestling business is no joke.
Yeah, that's why Mick Foley had to do the things that he did. I mean, you ever read his book, like, and is watching his documentary, like it's fucked up to what he had to go through just for a fucking payday.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's a nightmare, man. But then,
Saying about him, he said that's why he had to go over to Japan and do those damn death matches because he needed the fucking pay.
yeah. I hear they pay pretty good over there in Japan.
Yeah.
So they want to see the real deal. They want to see your ass get handled.
Well, that's why if you notice when Hulk Hogan wrestled in Japan, he
Yeah.
fucking fought way more different than
Yeah.
he fought in WWF.
Because they probably weren't going to have. They're probably like, look, man, we're paying you thousands of dollars. You're not going to go out there and just pose for us, motherfucker.
yeah, you're not just gonna go out there do a typical Hulk Hogan back and forth, get beat up, Hulk up,
Right.
throw the big boot, the big leg drop,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, the 20-minute pose down afterwards.
Right. They were probably like, nah, dude, fuck all that. You're going to work.
It's funny that his pose downs at the end of every match would be longer than the match.
Yeah, man, it's wild.
Yeah.
But then now we're going to move on to draws.
Oh,
Man.
or like I was saying earlier, formerly known as Puke.
Right. It's really sad what happened to him, man.
Yeah, dude, it was because like
He
You go
really
back-
got the dirty end of everything, it seems.
yeah, I mean you go back and you watch on Beyond the Mat when they were like
Or when he
bringing
was
him
first,
in,
bringing him in and all that.
having him do his gimmick of puking, and
Right.
And remember Vince McMahon, like, he's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
Right. He's gonna,
Yeah, he's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
and he actually couldn't pull it off that time.
Yeah,
It says he was born in 1969. Damn. He's still pretty young. He was only 54 from what it says here.
yeah. But,
Damn. But yeah, he got fucked up. He got paralyzed.
yeah, from fucking D'Lo Brown. They had
Right.
a match where D'Lo picked him up for like a running power bomb, and I guess the ring was like when D'Lo was running across the ring with him, he slipped and dropped him too early, and fucking he made him like basically land on his fucking head.
Yep. And I don't think they ever showed that match.
No, I mean I wouldn't. I mean,
I would
why
like to
would
actually
you?
see that match.
Yeah. You know what's weird? The WWF probably has that footage. And the footage.
Owen Hart?
Yeah, they
Oh, of
probably
course they got it.
Yeah, it's like they ain't gonna. They said they got that video locked up in a safe in the warehouse and will never be opened. It's like, dude, what's the point of keeping it if you're not gonna fucking
maybe
ever
because
show it?
maybe the reason they have to keep it is for like
legal purpose.
legal purposes in case of they have to go back and look at the tapes, the lawyers or cops or something, because you never know. But it says Droz, he says he landed on his head and suffered 2 fractured vertebrae in his neck.
Yeah.
He was immediately admitted to a medical center where he underwent hours of surgery. Wow. And to stabilize the pressure in his injured neck.
Damn, dude. I mean, that's...
It says because the tape was because the match was pre-taped, it was not aired to the public on October 7th.
That's what they did.
And listen, it says the broadcast has never been shown to the public. However, the footage of him being taken out on a stretcher has been seen in WWE's Don't Try This at Home.
Yeah,
service announcement. Yeah.
Yeah, when you get a WWE DVD, they show like bodies have been broken. Right.
So you know what? The footage may have. They have the footage. It's never been shown, but you know, sometimes people sneak cameras in.
Yeah.
You know, just like that incident with what's his name? What's that wrestler that messed us back up in the 80s? And he ended up dying just a few years ago. He was, man, why am I drawing a blank on this one? The Dynamite Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pulled his back out, and somebody filmed it. You know.
Yeah. That was funny. Like they showed that, and I remember them showing. They were explaining the reason why, like when they lost the WWF tag titles to the Hart Foundation, about why, like, you know, because when you see him come out, and then Dynamite was like immediately taken out with like a megaphone shot, and Davey Boy basically had to fight the whole match, you know, by himself.
But I guess he did some sort of jump or something and pulled his back.
Yeah, he was
really bad or something, and then.
Yeah, he was. I think he did like a leapfrog or something. Or
I'd have to watch it again because I don't quite remember. But and then I remember him getting hit in the back, and then he had laid down and he had rolled over to get out of the ring, or almost out of the ring, and his partner had to finish the fucking match.
Yeah.
But that's where he got messed up, and it just got worse for him after that.
What sucked, they were WWF Tag Team Champions at the time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were a hell of a tag team match.
Yeah, dude, like, I mean, that was, growing up as a kid, I would honestly
hell of a tag team.
Like, in the 80s,
yeah,
like, the British Bulldogs were probably one of my favorite.
Yeah, same here. Those guys were, like, my favorites for a while back then.
Because they were so cool. They come out, and, you know, they had the look, they had the drive, and man, they would get in that ring and just bam, 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 your ass.
You know, but yeah, Draw's got paralyzed, and you know, so he was out of wrestling forever. And I noticed, you know, in some shoot interviews that he, you know, unfortunately packed on weight. Yeah. He kind of looked like shit, and it sucks, you know, because he's just a vegetable pretty much, you know. And then now he's gone. You know.
Yeah. You know what really sucks was his last, like, gimmick he was doing in the WWF before his injury. Motherfucker was coming out wearing dresses.
Yeah.
Like, because they did a thing where, like, they had to come out, like, they lost the match to where they had, like, their people that won, they had to dress up, like, in drag to come out and wrestle their next week's match, and Draw, you could tell, like, in the backstage, like, Draws was digging, you know, the drag, like, man, I kind of like this look, you know, and his partner's like, are you out of your mind?
Yeah, I mean, he seemed like a really cool guy, a nice person, and all that. Actually, I believe he was. That's right. He was interviewed for the Brawl for All on the Dark Side of the Ring.
Yeah.
That's right.
You know what he was also notorious for in WWF? For pushing Hawk off, the Road Warrior Hawk off the Titantron.
Yeah. That's some cool stuff, man.
He was trying to replace Hawk in the Legion of Doom with him and Animal, and his Hawk was going through fucking like drug problems or shit at the time, and he was up on the Titantron like, he's not your friend, he's not, You don't believe him. And I was like, man, get your ass out of here.
Yeah. So anyways, we're moving on from Draws, and we'll work on the last one here, which is the one and only, because he's one of a kind, the Iron Sheik.
Oh, yeah. The one guy that was, he was the one that Hulk Hogan originally took the WWF title from.
Yeah.
And it was the whole start of Hulkamania, brother.
He was a legit, strong motherfucker back in the day.
Yeah,
You
dude.
know, he was tough.
Former WWF champion, former WWF tag team champion with Nikolai Volkov.
Right.
Like, he had a pretty good damn run,
And unfortunately, he died back in June 7th of 2023. He was age 81. This guy, he's wild. I love his shoot interviews, man.
Oh yeah, the shit that he was like. Remember that shit he was talking about the killer bees?
Yeah.
He's like, I'll put you in the camel clutch and break your back and fuck your ass and make you humble.
Yeah. He didn't like, what's his name, Brian Blair.
Yeah, B. Brian Blair. He's like, I don't respect you. I don't respect you.
Right. Many times I hear him say, like, Brian Blair, I'll put you in a camel clutch, break your back,
To make you humble.
Yeah, it's like, damn, dude.
What about the incident with him and Beetlejuice?
Oh yeah, that was some funny ass shit too, man.
He was like,
He hated Beetlejuice.
Here's that problem. Beetlejuice is telling Iron Sheik to hit him with a beer bottle.
Yeah. I mean, that incident, you could watch that on YouTube. I'm sure it's still on there.
Yeah, he's like, I will fuck you up, boy.
And Sheik was pissed because Beetlejuice was talking about their boss. He's like, no, don't you ever disrespect the boss like that. He's the one that pays the bills and all this shit. Don't ever disrespect the fucking boss. Beetlejuice is like, go ahead, hit me with that bottle. He's like, no, you're not fucking worth it. But don't you ever disrespect the boss. And Beetlejuice is like, I'll fuck you up, man, or something like that.
Yeah, he's like, I'll fuck you up, boy.
And he's like, come on then with it, He's like, you're lucky so-and-so's holding me back, or else I'd fuck you up. I was just like, wow, what the hell?
Oh yeah.
I mean, he was a wild one, man. His
what
interviews.
What about the one that he did on Howard Stern, where a guy was talking shit about him losing to Hulk Hogan or something?
Right. Yeah, I remember that.
He flew off the handle.
Yeah, wasn't that Hulk Hogan's friend?
Yeah, but I think Bubba the Love
Sponge.
Sponge.
Yeah, they had a little back and forth thing going on there.
What did he say? I can't remember.
He called him a jobber. He said, you fucking jobbed the Hulk Hogan. He says, you're nothing but a fucking jobber. And she says, well, what the fuck did you do, man? What are you back there mopping? I don't see you out there wrestling. Shit like that. It was pretty funny, man.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Anything with him in the Howard Stern, interviews, everybody should go watch because they're all pretty damn funny.
There was another
the shit
one
he was saying, man.
Like he was at like a Comic-Con or a signing or something, and he was getting mad at somebody in like.
He was mad at the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah, and his own guy was like coming up to him, trying to settle him down, and fucking Iron Sheik was like slapping him and shit.
Yeah, that was his manager. And because his manager wanted to have Iron Sheik take a picture with the Ultimate Warrior, and Ultimate Warrior didn't want to take a picture with the Iron Sheik, and it embarrassed Iron Sheik, and he goes, whoa, what the fuck did you bring me out here for over to him, man? I know this man from Georgia. We used to wrestle together or something like that. And he's like, that's your fucking fault. And he smacked his manager in the face. Embarrassed. And his manager did the smart thing. He just kind of walked away,
Yeah.
Because
the Iron Sheik, dude.
Yeah. That's really something, man. Yeah.
That's gonna be crazy. Like he's gone.
That's on YouTube too.
Yeah, like all that shit's on YouTube, man.
Yeah, I mean all the stuff. Like I said, go watch the stuff with Iron Sheik and Howard Stern. That's great. Go watch his shoot interviews. They're great. You know, his interviews are just,
Especially
he's
him.
one of a kind, like I said, man. I just can't believe it. He had
Why
a
not?
shoot interview with Honky Tonk Man and New Jack that
Oh,
was just
yeah.
off the fucking chain, man, showing their asses and shit.
Dude, I remember Iron Sheik, Honky Tonk Man, and New Jack
Right.
doing a shoot on Chris Benoit where they
Oh, yeah.
they fucking went off on
Yeah.
Chris Benoit.
Well, one of the Honky Tonk Man was kind of sticking up for Chris, saying, "We don't know that, you know, you can't prove, you know, so and so." But
He said something like, if he did do what they're saying, like he did kill, you were all. It's like, why didn't you just kill your fucking self? Like, why'd you have to kill, your family?
I think it's because he had, blacked out. That's even if he did it.
Yeah,
Because a lot of things about the whole Chris Benoit thing just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and you know what the bad thing is, dude? Nobody's ever gonna know.
Right? Truly, yeah. Nobody's gonna truly know what happened. But I have a feeling if no man in their right mind is gonna build this awesome wrestling career just to throw it away like that for no reason.
How he truly loved his family.
Right.
He loved his son.
No man in their right mind, I'm telling you, would do that. He had to have been losing his mind. And also, they were saying he had a mind of like an 80-year-old, I think, because of all the head trauma.
Yeah, from all the fucking flying headbutts and getting nailed in the head with chairs and shit.
He was, I think he blacked out at some point and just, like, didn't know where he was and killed everybody, then killed himself when he came.
Why do you think you don't see chair shots to the fucking head no more?
Yeah, because of shit like that.
Yeah.
And I like how Vince McMahon played it off as like, oh, what 80-year-old man would wrestle in I'm like, dude, he took so many chair shots. The guy jumped off of, ladders and all that, and he hit them.
Yeah, and trying diving headbutts.
I mean, that really takes a toll, man. And, I like how he avoids blame, for a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
But
I think it's fucked up how when they first announced that he had died, the WWF went out there, put on a whole big tribute show for him, and then it's like during that show it was found out that from what it looked like that he had killed his wife and kid and then killed himself.
Right.
And then the next night, I think it was like on ECW show, Vince started off the broadcast by saying that, last night we did a tribute show for the life of, but he's like, in 24 hours, he's like, more stuff has come out, and he said, except for what Vince was saying, he's like, there would be no mention of Mr. Benoit from now on. Like, there would be...
What a bunch of bullshit, too. It's like, okay, you can't mention Chris Benoit, but you fucking... What about Jimmy Snuka? He fucking took his girlfriend out, and you fucking paid for Jimmy to fucking be free and clear. I mean, we all seen that in the Dark Side of the Ring shit. Yeah. I mean, they said he went in there with a briefcase full of money,
and walked out with Jimmy
Snuka. But that's okay because he was your top guy back in the day. But this whole Chris Benoit thing's different. Fuck off.
I know.
This motherfucker. There's so many wrestlers that have done so many messed up things that are okay. Like his golden boy Brock can get away with all kinds of shit. He never got in trouble for swinging his dick in front of Goldust's bitch back in the day.
Yeah.
You remember that the whole plane ride from hell thing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Notice how everybody gets in trouble for that, except for Brock. Brock didn't get in trouble, but everybody else did.
Mr. Perfect got fired because he got in a fight with Brock Lesnar.
Right.
I remember
because he pulled a joke on Brock Lesnar. A prank.
Yeah.
So they were horsing around. He got fired.
Yeah, I remember Ric Flair got in trouble because they were saying that the chick on the flight attendant said that he was coming on to her.
Yeah, well, they paid her hush money.
Yeah.
They paid her hush money. He didn't get in trouble for that until the Dark Side of the Ring episode came on like 20 years later.
Yeah.
You know, it's like once again, like we had talked about when we did the My Thoughts video on that. You know, it's just a clusterfuck. You know, it's got like a curse behind it or something. But everybody gets in trouble except for fucking Brock Lesnar. You're a little golden boy.
Yeah, because that's my just like I'm sure there ain't no telling like what Hulk Hogan got away with back in the day. Like,
right, you never know. A lot of these wrestlers get away with a lot of shit, but it's okay for them to fucking do crazy shit. But for some odd reason,
somebody else does the same thing.
Chris Benoit, he's he's marked out for life.
Forget about him. He erased them all out of the archives.
Yeah. Ain't that a trip?
That's fucking bullshit.
It is, man. I'm just tripped out by it. Like,
at least the one good thing about it, I'm glad like people still put like Chris Benoit matches up on YouTube. It's like,
yeah, because he's a hell of a wrestler.
Yeah.
He can wrestle.
I mean, if he did what he said, what they're saying that he did, then my God, that's fucking terrible. But as far as the wrestler, Chris Benoit, like back in the days of WCW and WWE, that's the Chris Benoit.
Yeah, he can roll. But even if he did what everybody's saying he did, he wasn't in his right mind. I'll say this 1,000 times: no man in their right mind builds a fantastic wrestling career, has a wife and kids, just to throw it all away in one night.
Yeah.
And then take them out and take yourself out. There's something behind that. He had either blacked out or something else happened. Somebody set him up. Where?
Yeah, I'm saying. Remember, there was talks about that shit too, about him getting set up, right.
And who knows that Chris Benoit's wife's ex-husband may have set him up. I forgot his name.
Kevin Sullivan.
Yeah, that's right, Kevin Sullivan. Who knows? He could have set him up. He could have been like, all right, motherfucker, I'll wait. I'll give it some time. And then 10 years later, boom, I got your ass.
Yeah, got your ass perfectly.
It could have happened. I've heard people say, Kevin Sullivan had him set up, had him taken out. Can I prove it? No. But is it possible? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look, the fucking Chris Benoit took his wife, dude.
Right.
Like, you can just simply let that go. That it's like, man, my wife left me for this motherfucker.
Yeah, and he always had that, like, devil worshipping gimmick going, so who knows, maybe he was a real one of those type people, and said, all right, I'll get payback. I don't know for sure, but it's possible.
Maybe he summoned up some like spell or something, like plus Chris Benoit.
Right. Plus, things that don't make sense is Hardcore Holly was saying in an interview that he was supposed to come over that day, but he decided not to. If you're gonna kill your wife and kids, why would you invite people to come over that day?
Yeah.
Beforehand. That's one odd thing. Because if I was going to take people out, I'm not inviting people over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Remember, he was saying, like, even Chavo Guerrero said that on a fucking shoot that he was talking to Chris Benoit that night that supposedly he killed his wife, and he said something just was not right. Because they were talking on the phone, and he went to go answer the door, and it's like heard kind of like a scuffle, and the phone went dead.
Right, isn't that odd? And here's another odd thing. I believe Chris was an atheist, so why was there Bibles left by the bodies?
Yeah, and not only that, they also said that they found empty beer cans and an empty wine bottle beside his dead body, and when they checked him, he did not have a drop of alcohol
Yeah.
in his system.
Yeah. See, that's, to me, that just raises too many red flags.
Yeah, like I mean, people are saying, well, he could have drank the beers, and he could have drank that stuff like a day or two, like right after. Maybe
Yeah,
he
but
drunk
it
all
still would
that.
be in a system.
Yeah,
It just doesn't add up. A lot of things. That's why we're always going to be in the dark on this, because
yeah. I mean, like I said, that's the bad thing about it. Unless somebody ever comes forward and actually says, like, "Hey, I know exactly what happened
right,
to Chris Benoit."
yeah, because
like,
they were there, they were part of it.
Yeah,
You know
either
what I
they were
mean?
there as part of it, or they witnessed it.
Or
just don't-
you know what would be, crazy, if one of the witnesses that was maybe there actually filmed it or something like that, and they come forward years and years later and prove that Chris Benoit didn't do any of this, that I got proof. You know how fucked up everything would be after that.
Can you imagine they got the footage and actually they could like with today's like editing equipment, they could blow everything up, get a crystal clear shot of like.
Right. I mean, you never know. I mean, this is like really thinking way out there, but you never know, man. Weird shit has happened where you think something, and then boom, something else happens.
Remember back in the day watching Unsolved Mysteries?
Yeah.
You always hear those crazy stories like that, like somebody dies, nobody knows how that he died, and then like sometime later, like years later, somebody will come out, or they'll find that somebody had footage of it.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Also, I don't know how much you know about this. That reminds me of the whole Billy Jack and the kids on the railroad incident. Do you know about that?
I don't.
That's where back in the 80s, something about he was supposed to watch and see something about drugs and a drop off, and he was supposed to see if any of these cops were taking the drugs for themselves, and he found out that they weren't, but some kids saw some sort of drug drop off with cops, and the cops had to end up killing these kids because he said there can't be any witnesses. And Billy Jack was a part of that whole thing, which he's come out and talked about. But it's like the way he talks, a lot of people are like, they caught. Well, let me back up. They said that they caught up with these kids that saw this drug bust this drug drop off drugs from dirty cops. The cops went after and killed the kids and put them on the track and made it look like train killed them. Well, Billy Jackie came out years later saying, "No, I was there. The train did not kill these kids. It was cops." And there was witnesses too in like apartment buildings that seen the shit, but I guess they're not really going to come forward because this is way above their heads. Yeah. But the way Billy Jack talks, you don't know if he's serious or he's fucking crazy.
Yeah, because people say shit like that. I've heard numerous wrestlers and stuff out there and would say something like, you'd be like, whoa, like they'd be like, yeah, back in the day, this guy did something really fucked up. And this guy's like, I have no idea what the fuck he's even talking about.
You don't know what's what, but he did say he does have some camera footage of this shit. So I don't know what's going on with that. That's still open case from what I heard, but you could look into that when you get free time about the Billy Jack Haynes and the kids on the railroad incident.
I still remember what he was saying about Chris Benoit, like that he believes that Vince had him killed, and that Chris Benoit's son was really Vince's son, and they didn't want I don't know, but that was
he did get into the whole Chris Benoit thing too.
Yeah.
He said he was pissed out of a lot of people. He was pissed at Bret Hart. He was pissed at Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know with this guy. He's just, it's wild, man.
I remember him back in the 80s when he wrestled in like WWF and stuff, and he was a jacked up big motherfucker.
Right.
His WrestleMania 3 match with fucking Hercules, with a, they called it like a full Nelson challenge. Like, you could only win the match with full Nelson, but they both used it at the time.
Damn.
Remember, Hercules wound up busting him wide open with his fucking chain, you know, busting him in the head
Yeah.
with it.
Well, those are some strong dudes, man. No joke.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the day. Yeah, I remember watching WrestleMania 3 with Billy Jack Haynes.
Yeah, that was
a good event.
Yeah, it is surprisingly that with his look and stuff that Billy Jack Haynes never was like a super big star in WWF.
That's
like
because, according to him, that's because he mouthed off too much to Vince.
Yeah.
He would say how he felt about, this or that, things he didn't like. He got into a lot of fights from what they say with some wrestlers, and he was legit fucking tough. I believe that. Because look at Billy Jack Haynes back in the day. Look how he was built.
Yeah, he was built like. Yeah, there's no way. Like some of those wrestlers back in the day, dude, you would not want to ever cross.
No. Like I would never want to fight like Hardcore Holly or Billy Jack Haynes. I think the worst.
I'll tell you another tough guy that you wouldn't want to fuck with back in the day in WWF was Haku.
Yeah, he's another legit tough guy.
Yeah, everybody was saying he was probably one of the toughest fucking guys. Like.
Right. What's the I'll tell you one of the toughest guys that I definitely would never, ever, under any circumstance, fight. I wouldn't even try to shoot this motherfucker because he's crazy as fuck when he gets pissed.
Who?
Is Ahmed Johnson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially back in...
maybe now it's different, but back in the day, oh, no. No, not going to happen.
Remember that incident with fucking Goldust where he's out cold and came up, gave mouth to mouth?
Right. You see what he did to Hardcore Holly with one hand? One hand.
One hand. It was just hard.
He jacked that motherfucker up with one hand. I was like, oh man, no.
Yeah, and you got to figure Hardcore Holly
is a badass.
Was no lightweight.
Right, I mean, and he's a badass. I wouldn't want to mess with Hardcore Holly, but Ahmed Johnson, whoa.
And remember, he tackled one guy like through a door, and he's just like, looking for him, and then he wound up socking the cameraman.
Yeah, I mean, he was legit tough. He'd been through hell though, because his dad was.
Yeah,
out there in a shooting interview, he said his dad was part of like a really nasty fight gang, and he got his ass whooped on extreme levels.
Yeah.
So he had a hell of a hard life growing up.
Yeah. He came out with all that shit years ago, back when he wrestled for WWF. They printed his story in one of the wrestling magazines, and it was just horrible, dude. Like, about the beatings that he got.
Oh yeah, he was saying he got beatings so bad it was just like the same thing as the movie The Passion of the Christ. He said that he got whooped so bad, blood was everywhere on the fucking walls.
Yeah, he said he said one time he tried to get up in the middle of the night to make some food for his hungry sister, and he tried to just boil up some water and some hot dogs. And his dad came home drunk or whatever, and
asked where the hot dogs were.
Yeah, and he held his son down and poured the boiling hot water on his fucking back.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He said his skin his skin was coming off. Man, why is my sorry about this, dude? My door is staying open.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. So, he had a hell of a life, so I can understand why that motherfucker came out so damn fucking powerful. He was built like a tank, and he could fight. He said one day, I don't remember what year this was, but he said that him and Bam Bam were talking or something like that, and he got hit in the back by one of these crazy fans with a stick or something. He said that he turned around and punched this guy so hard that you could hear his fucking jaw crack extremely loud.
Ouch.
And I was just like, oh yeah. Like, I don't know why these crazy wrestling fans think they can go after the most fucking worst wrestlers.
Dude, the dumbest fan of all was the one that ran up and tried to attack Bret Hart at the fucking Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because he got whooped.
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect? I mean, it's not bad enough you show up at a wrestling show with security and stuff,
right,
jumping on the wrestler. You jump on Bret Hart in front of, like that's all the audience was wrestlers.
Right. They jumped in there and they grabbed him, and as they were taking him out, one of the wrestlers, like, punched him in the face.
Yeah, knocked him out, basically.
You know? And I'm sure once they took him in the back, they started whooping the shit out of him.
Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't. Supposedly, what they're saying, like, oh, when they took him back, he was handed over to security.
No, I doubt that.
Yeah.
I think before he got to security, he got his ass.
I guarantee you, they probably
spanked.
They probably had a few seconds with them.
Oh yeah. They whooped him pretty good. So then you got to be a fool to do some stupid shit like that.
Not just to be a fool to attack a wrestler on a normal show, but you're going out there with the ring is surrounded by all the wrestlers past and present.
Ain't that something?
It's like you might as well just go to a fucking zoo and just jump right into a fucking lion's den and start fucking lion, dude. Like,
I know. You might as well jump in a lion's den and try playing with the lions.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
crazy.
Yeah, that's exactly like what he was doing. It was like,
I know.
Going out there
I don't know.
That.
I don't know what
go. He might as well just went and jumped in a fucking lion's den and be like, come on, bring it on, motherfuckers.
Right. I don't know. I've also heard stories of wrestlers going to bars and these people would try to mess with the toughest.
Yeah.
Of like Rick Rude and Ravishing Rick Rude. Why would you want to fight him?
Yeah.
You know, what the hell's wrong with you?
One of the wrestlers came out and said that Rick Rude went out to a bar one night, and he said that during the night, the other guy stayed back at the room, and he said he heard some noise, and he went out there to the other room, and it was a white couch, but he said now when he went out there, the couch was red because Rick Rude was passed out on the couch, fucking bleeding all over.
Damn.
He had like a wound over his eye where it's just blood was just blood was just pouring out of it.
Damn.
And he said basically what it was, he got in a fight at a bar, and one guy cracked him pretty good. That's what happened with his eye, but he beat the fuck out of the rest of those guys.
There was also an incident, I think you remember this, where Stone Cold, they were at, I think, a motel, and they were going where their little bar area was, and it was Vader and Stone Cold drinking, and they saw what's his name? What's one of the horsemen's name? Ric Flair, Arn Anderson.
That about Sid Vicious?
Yeah, Sid Vicious and Arn Anderson got into a really bad fight, and they were stabbing the shit out of each other and shit.
Oh yeah, with scissors. Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
Yeah, it was witnessed by Vader and Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And Vader talks about it in the shoot interview, and man, they fucked each other up real bad.
Vader got fired from WCW because of a backstage brawl. He had a backstage brawl with fucking Paul Orndorff.
Yeah, well, according to him, Paul Orndorff was running at the mouth. It pissed him off. It triggered him, and he popped Paul in the mouth, took him, and ran his ass into a fucking wall or something, a box. But then I guess Paul got up, hit him with his bad hand or something, and kicked him in the face. And yeah, according to Kevin Sullivan, Paul punched him in the face. He said he kicked him so hard that the back of his head touched the back of his shoes. So he really went back. But then Vader got up and said, "All right, motherfucker, let's go." And then that's when I think Haku came in and stopped it.
Yeah.
From what I heard, I thought, wow, that must have been fucking nuts.
That was another guy I heard was a tough motherfucker back in the day. Was Haku. Like,
yeah, I've heard. Yeah.
They said that was one guy you did not want to fuck with.
Oh yeah.
Because I mean, they said that a couple guys at a bar tried to talk shit about him one night, saying that, oh, he's just a fake ass wrestler. He ain't tough. And they're like, Haku's like, oh yeah, come on boys, let's see how tough y'all are. And he stood up to all three of them, and dude, he whooped their fucking asses, dude. They said I think that was the one that said he bit a guy's nose off.
Yeah, I heard about that. And that's the thing I was talking about earlier. Is like, why do these people think that they can mess with the toughest wrestlers? I don't get that.
Yeah. Well, why was it in that fucking what was that Will Smith Hancock? Remember how he was like Mr. Invincible superhero bullshit deal, and those guys were fucking with them in prison.
Right, and yeah, that's another thing. Why are you messing with somebody?
Like you can't hurt this person. You can't beat this person. Hey. You can't embarrass that person. Why are you fucking with him?
I guess it's a lot of liquid courage, man. You gotta be drinking a lot of liquor to fucking feel that tough. Even then, I would be like, no, I'm not messing with no wrestlers.
It's just like people were talking about the fight between Andre the Giant and Blackjack Mulligan.
Oh yeah.
They're trying to say that Blackjack Mulligan, they were sitting there drinking beers all night, and he's just like, if I could whoop Andre the Giant's ass, I'd be the toughest motherfucker.
You could hear that, in the deleted scene from the Andre the Giant documentary that's on YouTube. He said Ric Flair, he was there. He said, one of the wrestlers was like, "Who does he think he is?" Yeah. And he fucking socks him in the face, and Andre just his eyes went wide open and grabbed him
and threw him out of a fucking threw him out the window over the balcony. And
well, I've heard that another wrestler jumped on him. He took both wrestlers and almost drowned their asses.
Yeah, the story that I'm saying
in a river.
I heard this story from Demolition that they were saying that they were there that night in the hotel room when he socked Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant just looked down and goes, "Why'd you do that?"
Yeah.
And just threw him over the balcony, and he was fucking dangling like 3 or 4 stories up, and Andre walked out there, just grabbed him by the back of his shirt, and just like nothing, like they said, like nothing, just pulled him right back up over the damn guardrail.
Yeah, I heard, you hear a lot of things. Man, too bad we were never at a bar to witness any of that stuff. And I wonder, because bars have camera footage.
Yeah, well, I'm saying probably 30, 40 years ago they didn't have cameras.
Well, right, you're right. Right. Yeah. I'm just thinking, I wonder if there's any, camera footage of wrestlers actually getting into fights with other people. Yeah. I'm sure there's got to be.
Yeah, you would think, especially nowadays, if there was something going on somewhere, you would think people would be taking footage of it left and right, be pulling out their phones.
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's why you don't see wrestlers these days. You don't hear about them getting into bar fights.
Yeah.
But back then in the
they probably see somebody that recorded it. Right. They probably gave them hush money to delete the video.
Well, who knows about that? But
we never know.
And back in the 80s and 90s, you hear stories about that. You don't hear shit like that now.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. Probably because WWE has something in their policy where no, you can't go to the bar and start a fight and all this shit. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm saying if you go and get in a bar fight, especially if you get your ass whooped.
Right, yeah, like Shawn Michaels got his ass whooped in a bar.
Oh yeah, and it cost him. I remember that they played it off like, oh, he got pulled out of a. They didn't even. They tried to mention that he wasn't drunk at first. They were trying to say like, Shawn Michaels got pulled out of a sleeping. But once they mentioned that he got pulled out of a car sleeping at a bar,
Yeah, come on.
That, yeah, he was passed out drunk, is what he fucking was.
Yeah,
and these guys pulled him out of the car and beat the fuck out of him.
Right. And I'm sure this was the '90s, so I'm sure there's camera footage of that. Maybe.
Who knows? You know.
I think by the '90s, cameras were probably put into those places, I would assume, but who knows? But it is interesting to hear those stories from wrestlers that they got into some fights.
Yeah, it's cool to hear from like some of your favorite wrestlers out there. Sharing some of their road stories. Like,
right, I loved hearing that stuff.
Yeah, dude, I listened. I caught a part of a shoot with Tatanka the other day. And he was talking about this funny ass incident that happened at a show that they were all in the thing. And Yokozuna, it was about Yokozuna, and he had to go use the bathroom like really, really bad. And they said when he went into the room in the stall, something about it that he bonsai dropped the fucking toilet. And it completely broke the fucking toilet.
Oh man!
and Tatanka said he's like I shit you. He's like I shit you not. I mean, the looks of it, it's like you could hear the boom, like he came down, like he was doing a fucking full blown bonsai drop on somebody.
Wow!
Like, and they showed the toilet. He said when you went in and looked at the toilet, the whole fucking toilet was like the porcelain was all cracked and broke, and water was spewing out of it, and Yoko just looks and goes, "Uh-oh."
Oh man, yeah. I mean, that's a hell of a life to live as a wrestler.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
they go through a lot, man.
Yeah.
That's probably the most hardcore job in the world, I would think, pretty much.
Yeah. It's like what Kevin Nash said in a fucking shoot that. Wrestling is like wrestling is only about two things: the money and the miles.
Yeah.
Because the miles you travel, going to show to show to show, it's like, I mean, as much as I was a fan growing up, and as much as I wanted to be a wrestler.
Yeah, you and then hearing about what really goes on.
Yeah,
it's like no way, man, no way.
Yeah, cause I'm just saying, when you're growing up as a kid and you watch wrestling,
right? That's because you see shit on the surface level.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Back as a kid, you don't know
what goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's just what you're seeing. It's like, man, I want to be part of that. I want to be out there, like having those like 5-star matches and shit, like the crowd reaction.
Yeah, but what it takes to get there is a whole other ball game, dude.
Oh yeah, when I learned all that, when I learned about all that, it was like, well, if I that dream.
Right. I mean, we love wrestling, but nah.
No.
You have to really like be so deep into it to get into it.
Best dude was Triple H in the first season of Tough Enough. He got in the ring with all the kids, and he was asking them, like, why do you want to do this? And he said something. He's like,
don't waste our fucking time.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't want this.
If you're not totally committed to being a wrestler, coming out here and doing this week after what the hell?
Right. Don't waste our fucking time and all that. Yeah, which I agree. Because this is a hell of a life to be in.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you got to figure, dude. I mean, imagine that going out working like a half-hour long matchup that you're hurt and bruised afterward. You got to go back to the backstage, shower, get changed, and then go right out to a car, get in, drive fucking 500-600 miles
to the next place.
Yeah, get a night's sleep, get up, and go do it all over again.
Yeah, and not only that, if you're muscled up, you have to get up. You have to go to the gym.
Yeah,
you have to lift weights for a few hours.
Yeah.
You know, so you can kiss your fucking, like, if you have a wife, kids, you can kiss that pretty much goodbye, because you ain't gonna see them much.
One wrestler said it best. Like, if you truly want to be in this business, your best bet is just to be a single man.
Right.
Like a single man with no, like, because like when you get into this business, this is your life, you know.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you'd be.
That's what I would hate. I'd hate to be a wrestler and have a wife and kids at home, knowing I'm on the road. And we get one. You know, you really just want to go home and spend time with your family.
And you can't. You're on a fucking like Jake the Snake Roberts says, or no, Roddy Piper also said. Or no, they both said. You know.
Yeah, they wanted. He's like, why didn't you take some months off and go spend time with your kids? Like, if I would have took a couple months off, I would have gotten fired. Right,
would have been fired. And then you got to take pills to get up, pills to go to sleep.
Yeah, he said you got to take pills to go to sleep, and you got to take pills to wake up. You got to do cocaine. You got to drink to go to sleep.
Right.
Pills.
Right. It's just it's a circle of hell, man.
Yeah,
what it sounds like.
Especially what he was talking about. Like the women you meet, if you about married, like you're on the road where you could have it every day, and all of a sudden, like one a day is not enough. You do 2 a day, you do 3 a day, then 2 at a time, and 2 at a time with toys. He's like said something like it just gets more bizarre and more bizarre, and he's like, when you go home and try to make love to your wife, he's like, ain't no way.
Right. Man, he has lived such a nightmare of a life, man.
Yeah.
I'm just like, after watching that and hearing his story, I was like, wow.
Yeah. And, I mean, not just hearing that story.
His dad being the way he is.
The dark side of the ring story of his dad.
Right. Even before that, beyond the mat story of his dad.
Yeah,
all the shit about his sister getting killed.
Dude, his sister getting killed, and the lady going to jail for it, never finding her body.
Right. That's wild, man.
Yeah, and she came out like, please tell us where her body is. She's like, fuck you guys, I ain't telling you shit.
Right. They only could get her for kidnapping. They couldn't get her for murder because they couldn't find the fucking body, but they knew she was dead because there was so much blood in the car.
Yeah, he's like, there's so much blood in the car. I know that she's dead.
It's like, wow. She said it was. He even said something like it's just one bad thing after another. It keeps coming.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow. And then his sister, his other sister, which was a wrestler, she talked about a lot of this shit too.
Yeah.
In the Dark Side of the Ring thing episode.
I remember one thing she talked about, like, the dad actually brought like a really young girl over to the house and had to make the girl a drink and
I mean that guy, man, that's crazy.
That's a fucking fruitcake, if I know.
That's pretty messed up.
You're a star. You can go out and have all the women you want, but you go after kids.
Yeah, I mean, like Jake said that my dad was dating his mother's.
She was dating his mother. His mom was only 13 years old when he was born.
Right. He raped his girlfriend's daughter.
Yeah,
or something like that.
It's like my father was going out with my mother's mother.
Right.
Yeah, he said he came in and raped the 12-year-old girl while she was in her bed asleep.
Right.
Like that's some sick fucking bullshit.
Man, that's a trip. I mean, his life has been, and he's still alive.
Yeah.
After all that he's been through with the drugs and alcohol and all the everything.
It's good to see that he's doing good in his life.
Right, and he's got a good relationship with his daughter and all that.
Yeah. He came out a while back. He was actually in AEW for a bit. Like, he came out.
Right.
This was back before Cody Rhodes went back to WWE. When he was in AEW, he came out and he cut a fucking killer promo on Cody Rhodes.
Well, he can always do promos really well.
He's like, I ain't here to praise you. I am here to slay you.
Right. Yeah, a hell of a life to live to be a wrestler, right?
You know what was the funniest thing he said to Cody Rhodes to finish off their promo? He's like, a wise man once told me, he's like, never turn your back on somebody you respect or somebody that you're scared of. And he just turns right around and throws the microphone over his head, like, and just like walked away. So it's like he neither respects or is scared of Cody Rhodes.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, his life got changed around pretty good with Diamond Dallas Page helping out. Helping him out along with other wrestlers.
That one video where he had to go rescue DDP from Jake the Snake at the airport.
Yeah.
He was out there drunk and he's got no fucking shoes on and he's like I'm not fucked up. It's like 2-3 beers. What? You don't act like this after 3 beers.
Yeah, where the fuck's your shoes?
Yeah, he said something about his shoes. He's like, without your shoes, I was like, I ain't got no damn shoes. My fucking foot's fucked up, man. He's like, well then carry your fucking shoes. Really? I don't.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think we're gonna wrap this up.
Oh yeah,
we've been going at it for a while now. It's over an hour.
Yeah, I know it's crazy that we started off talking about wrestlers that died, and we just like went into a whole thing about other wrestlers. But hey, you know what?
But that's how we do it, man. We just kind of wing it.
That's what we do. We don't wing it. We ain't got no script that we follow. We just go. We don't prep
beforehand, other than sometimes I'll say I want to talk about this and that, but we don't get into details as to what exactly how we're going to go about it. We just wing it.
Yeah, and then things just go different ways.
Right.
Once we talk about what
it just goes
about, then we get into shit that we don't, that we just want to talk about.
Right, which is cool. So yeah, this time around it was all about wrestling. Which is pretty cool. And rest in peace to all the wrestlers that have passed away this year.
Hell yeah, dude. Like I said, Iron Sheik, Droz,
right, Lanny,
Poffo. Rest in peace to all of them, man. Like some of them were badass to watch, like Bushwhacker Butch.
Yeah.
I should try to get a hold of my cousin and be like, hey, let's do an old school fucking Bushwhacker.
Right, yeah. It sucks that we have to go one day, but unfortunately that's life, so. But anyways, yes, we're gonna wrap this one up for the day, guys. I hope you all enjoyed. There was another podcast here for you people, and we'll be back at it before you know it. We'll have another one coming up.
We'll come up with some more bullshit.
You're right. But anyways, yep, we are out of here, and hope you all have a kick-ass night.
Have a good one, everybody.
Later.